All right, moving on. Well, hey, when I'm bored, I tend to look at your Facebook page.
You like to watch?
I like to watch your Facebook. It's not when I'm bored, but there are certain people I will circle around because I'm curious what they have to say. And sometimes your posts are very political. Sometimes they're about movies. Often they're about television shows.
That's
true. I will find that very stimulating. And sometimes they're just plain stupid. The other day,
those are my favorite.
They're my favorites too. The other day, you posted something about tomato sauce. You made spaghetti. And you didn't have sauce, or even a sauce alternative. Can you explain this to our listeners?
My wife had to go to San Diego because, as I explained before, my daughter and my 2 grandchildren and my son-in-law live in San Diego, and they needed my wife to come down there and help out. So I was left to fend for myself, which is no big deal because I fended before. I was a bachelor for a long time. Yeah, I never starved when I was just by myself. I'm not dependent on my wife to take care of me. She just said, you have to fend for yourself. And I was okay. I was fine with fending.
You were fine with that.
So when dinner time came around, because that's usually when I think about what I'm going to eat, I figured, you know what, I'm just going to do something simple. You know, I don't really like to cook for myself, make a mess for myself, and then clean up after myself. So it's like making a lot of work for myself.
Which I love to do, by the way, and I will tonight as a bachelor by myself. Well, my wife's in Chicago. We'll talk about that, but I love to cook.
I just don't think I'm worth the hassle of trying to do all of those things. It's just a self-esteem issue, Gary. But that's
you don't think you're worth taking to dinner?
Yes. So
making dinner for.
Okay. Right. So that aside, I figured the simple thing will be I will make myself some pasta. So I boiled the water, went around waiting until, for 15 minutes or whatever, came back while I was boiling, opened up the cover, took out the pasta, took a fistful of pasta. You never know how much to put in for one person.
You don't. I do, but you don't. I understand.
I don't. Okay. So I take a fistful, then I put a fistful in, and it goes, oh, that doesn't look enough. And maybe, then I take 1 or 2 little strands and I add another one. And it's just like that, right? So now the water's boiling. So now I figure, let's go about 12, 15 minutes and I'll get 11. it. Maybe I should prepare the sauce. So the first thing I do is I open the refrigerator because maybe there's a jar of sauce that's already opened there. And I start to rummage through the refrigerator. I go to the bottom shelf, I go to the top shelf, I go to the side, and then eventually I have to look at the side door.
Eventually go to the pantry. Maybe there's
no, on the refrigerator, the side door. It's amazing how many times I will stare at the refrigerator and go, I don't see the ketchup. At the side door. Yeah, and not look at the side door when it's open. Okay,
all right.
So I'm looking at the side door. There's nothing in there. There's no sauce, no tomato.
No tomato-based anything.
Nothing. So now I literally am emptying the refrigerator, and now I'm starting to really sweat. So I open up the pantry, and now there's got to be stuff. There's got to be a can. There's got to be something of a sauce of some kind for the pasta. Again,
and you'd even accept a taco sauce at this point, right? I mean, any sort.
No, that's not true. As a matter of fact, when I posted, people saying, "Well, why don't you use ketchup?" I think even you said ketchup. I mean, I did think of anything that was red I could put on the sauce. But when I considered putting ketchup on the pasta, just sounded disgusting. But anyhow, So anyhow, no sauce.
No sauce.
I can't believe it. And my wife is Italian, by the way, half Italian, and the no sauce. So wait till I tell her relatives we had no sauce. Okay, so now it's like, well, what the fuck? Pardon my friend. I don't know why I curse all the time. Why? Anyhow, why the hell am I? What am I going to do? I can't eat dry pasta. So I'm going to drench it in butter.
Okay.
You're not going to believe what happened next.
You have no butter.
No butter. Now the pasta is boiling. There's no reversing that. There's no going back and say. I know that in a few minutes, when that timer goes off and dings, it's going to tell me that it is time to take the pasta off and eat that dry pasta.
Yeah. I have a number of problems here. I'm
just going to point out, I cannot believe. And I have to be very.
So what you're going to say is you can't believe that your wife didn't have these.
No, I'm not blaming her.
You're not blaming her.
I should know. The lesson learned is always check for sauce before you put the pasta in. This
Well,
would have been all fine. I never would have had this problem when I thought of pasta. I said I put the pasta in there. And I made the general assumption that there's got to be sauce somewhere.
Okay, there's two things here. You're right. Pasta prioritizing, very important. Know that you have the ingredients, first of all. But, Ken, there is no excuse to not have a tomato product in the home with which you can improvise a sauce. You have to do tomato inventory. You have to take a tomato. First of all, you should always have tomatoes. You should always have tomatoes, but there are no tomatoes. So you should always have tomato sauce or tomato paste. No tomato sauce, no tomato paste. Even ketchup, Ken, works in an emergency situation. This is just this is general tomato awareness. You put a nice garlic olive oil with that ketchup. Now make it a little lighter than you normally would, but it's delicious.
Well, I had very salty pasta. That was the only way I could flavor it. I put a lot of salt on it.
Ken, and to all the listeners, tomato awareness. You always have to have
this is our public service announcement.
A number of tomato products. It's as important as having
vodka,
milk, butter, vodka, salt, pepper, a variety of tomato products. All right.